thorough pace, premium racing analytics, allowing bettors to identify races with extreme pace scenarios in a matter of seconds. Capital OTB's mobile wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with Capital OTB's mobile wagering platform. And CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrow. I'm Anthony Mormino. On what I will term, for a gentleman wearing a jacket and tie, the first morning at 9 a.m., it's a little toasty.
It is.
So good luck to you by 10:50 this morning. Seth might be down to his high school senior year weight by then.
Yeah, that's it. Now we're pushing it.
It's warm. It's actually not. To be honest, I actually wouldn't classify
Can you see the yellow car over there?
Yes.
Oh, that is
Roadster,
sporty.
right?
Oh, nice.
It's like those 1920s Roadsters, right?
Wow.
I hate to say what it reminds me of, but the Great Gatsby, the vehicle actually that is funny. The incident. The Great Gatsby is stick out over there. Matched my tie. Car. He knew. He knew. Nice car. Big day today in horse racing, and I've said this before, Seth. I think it's the greatest race in the world now, and the field for today's King George is there's two events that annually I would like to attend during Saratoga. Now, the old Arlington one, that doesn't count. That was a historical thing. But I would like to, opening day at Del Mar and the King George are three, excuse me. And I'd like to go to the racing in Deauville. Those are three things that happened during Saratoga that I would like
Timonium.
I would like, yes.
Where does that fit on that list?
Well, Timonium's in there. I just think it's great, and I want to do it, and we'll figure it out.
And I get it. It just doesn't quite fit into the.
It's a different box. Yes, it's not in the same category as the other two. So opening day at Del Mar is a cultural event. The King George, I think, is the greatest horse race in the world. Timonium is a cultural event. So you're right. A little bit different. And Del Mar today, Seth. I do stuff for the network, but today is the local prep for the Pacific Classic San Diego. They have a grade 1 sprint with 12 horses in it. That's the Bing Crosby. And they did something that we kind of do on Travers Day here. They made it the first race. They have what appears to be one of those loaded 2-year-old maiden special weight races. So a big day at Del Mar. And I want to say something about my play of the day yesterday. And I was leery of this trap. The trip, which had the best comment ever, brutal trip, 2 words. I was leery that this was going to happen. You have to see the race, the horse's debut race, Panthera's Fate, to believe it. I mean, the Lincoln assassination read fewer words than this trip would have had. But everybody saw they made him the favorite, which I wanted to ditch at that point, and he ran poorly. Now I'm starting to think in 2 races, the horse causes 50% of his own problems. But watching the debut race is well worth it to see. It's almost incomprehensible in a mile race that a horse could find this much trouble. But he did. The people bet on that was bad. But a great card there today. Also, quick note, 12:40 post time today. And I was thinking maybe 7:22 post time for the 12th race wouldn't make dinner reservations too happy. So now it's 6:52 because they're going to go at 12:40. So they moved it up a half hour. There's 12 races. Couple other notes. Delaware, Ellis, and Colonial. I mentioned the other day, Colonial had canceled for the weekend ahead of time. But today, Delaware, Ellis, and Colonial closed. That's all part of the heat going on in America right now. So, and yesterday, I told you, Seth, there'd be a day with that 42% favorites. Now, what it turned out not to be my day, but how about this? The early pick 3, all $20 winners, 5th choice in the wagering, and the pick 3 came back almost $1,500. I think favorites won 2 races, right? And I will say this: I had a suspicion when I did my Wednesday, Thursday, Friday log, and Anthony Ferraro and Kyber Okoa had like 10 horses. I'm like, and I had Bustin' Away for second. And was an impressive winner at almost $30 at first asking. I figured they didn't come with all those horses to fill races, and I don't know if it was Kai Barcoa's first mount here, but I think it was his first win. But my suspicions played out, and had him for second. He paid $30. Some interesting races yesterday. We had a DQ in the second, and now I
thought that bump was right at the wire. I wouldn't have.
I have no opinion.
I thought it was
anymore.
There was definitely a bump.
Go with this.
We're
almost always going to disagree. We being them and me.
It was right at the wire, I thought. So
I'm with you. So I am on the three most recent days. I am on the other side of the coin with the three decisions.
It was a DQ of Smart Uncle too, which I had talked my sisters into playing across the board, and so it cost us a lot. I will admit I was not perhaps as objective as I should have been there, but I did think it was right at the wire.
And now here's the thing that to me is this is not good, and that is I never believe in the teletimer for races with the rails up. I have never met anybody who follows the game seriously that believes in them. Maybe you're one, but I've never met anyone that says I have full faith. What's that old line? Full faith. They always say like our money is backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government, right? Full faith and credit.
Full faith and credit. I was going to say full faith and promise, but
that sounds better. Full faith and promise of the United States government that your money means something. And in the digital age, I think it's been proven that the distance at 11 furlongs is not correct, and we make fun of the 7.5 furlong races at Gulfstream because of the run up. It's almost a mile race. Well, Pat Cummings intimated yesterday that really these 1 3/8 races are 1.5 miles, and he did the digital timing where it was 2 minutes and 23 seconds, which would be a little bit short. We don't think anybody's breaking Secretariat's record going 3 turns, but it's closer to a mile, far more closer to 1.5 miles than 1 3/8, and that makes no sense to me. I thought when they did the geometry of the rails, they knew how to make it 1 3/8. So apparently the timing and the distance is just put an asterisk and say arrest. You don't know how far it is, but should that be okay?
I'm not as tied into it as you are, but in answer to your question, in the 21st century, we should be able to time the race, get the distances right, and time the races right at any track, anywhere.
And these cameras cost about. I've said this before. And you're a film guy. I said, put these cameras on the poles, shoot it directly out with the running time. This seems to be like a $3,500 fix. Put a camera on every single pole, and you have these temporary rails.
And a lot of people use videos to time.
Well, that's what Pat does. He said 11, and he showed it as Craig does.
Being a
film guy,
film
producer,
production company owner, there are a set number of frames for every second in a video, and so if they cross the pole here and they cross the finish line here, you know what it is if you rely on the video.
On a kind of same measuring device, a friend of mine had a driving range, and he brought a guy out with a beam, and he said to the guy, "Well, how accurate is it?" He goes, "At 300 yards, 1/4 of an inch."
Oh.
So measuring is pretty exacting now, but I don't think this is coming up on the round table. It just doesn't matter enough. They just any distance, any time. And I've said this before about the fairgrounds because I think they're the highest level track that runs about distances. I'm okay with that because of racetrack setups, but there should be an easy place to find this is exactly how far it is.
Yeah.
They don't want to do it.
No.
So that's an interesting thing. I think what Pat was really referring to is we have the Bowling Green coming up. He's intimating to me it's more of 1.5 miles race than 1 3/8 race. Hey, in case that matters. Maybe it doesn't matter in your handicap.
Furlong here, furlong there.
Yeah,
amongst
next
friends.
thing you know, they're running 2.25 miles. But so that as I said, and they said something on the Fox yesterday that I think is intriguing because I think, Seth, it's hard for you or me to understand how a new person would understand it. But they were basically saying how we don't time the race from the gate opening. I think a newbie would be like shocked, dismayed that, and when you got done explaining it to them, they'd still be like, I'm shocked and dismayed that. And I wondered how you think a newbie hears that going, well, what in the basketball game? You start keeping score like about 4 minutes into the first quarter?
I totally agree with. Why it hasn't been. The gate opens, clock starts. And you go under the finish line, clock stops.
You think they have an answer for that one either?
No.
I
know what the answer is. Well, that's the way it's been done.
They don't want to do it.
That's the way we've been doing it.
Well, we used to time races in fifths.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore, basically.
Well, no. We do it. We do that, and the other way too.
Yeah.
You still people toss out the fifths.
And one thing Naira did that I really liked was only a short while ago in mile races, California has given the 7 furlong split for years. Naira finally added the 7 furlong sprint in mile races. They used to be the quarters, and that was it. I'm like, well, in a mile race, I think all eights should be measured. I mean, that's not too hard to do. But enough of that. It's a great day for racing. 12 races here. Great racing at Del Mar. Remember, Delaware, Ellis, and Colonial not running today because of the heat, and it's time for the DePaula.
Wait. Well, I could have done it after DePaula, but I wanted to touch on a few things because great, one of the all-time most important racing charities, Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. It's Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund Awareness Day for tracks around the country. Here at Saratoga, that will mean jockey signing out by the Silks Room from 11:30 to 12:30. A suggested donation to the PDF will be involved there, but you can go and get signatures from all your favorite jocks. Again, out by the Silks Room today, 11:30 to 12:30. And I do want to remind people. Oh, before that, a new twist this year: there are jockey trading cards. Naira paying tribute to the jockey colony while raising funds for the PDJF with the launch of jockey trading cards. Fans will be given an opportunity to purchase a pack of 5 trading cards for $5 with a limit of 3 packs per person. They're going to be selling them starting at 11 o'clock inside Gate A near the Taste of New York Pavilion. So it's kind of in the back towards the far end of the grandstand. So jockey trading cards as well, benefiting PDJF. And don't forget tomorrow night, this is always a lot of fun. Tomorrow night, it's jockey karaoke to benefit PDJF right across the street over at Vapor at the harness track. Kicks off at 8 o'clock. And as I say, it's always a lot of fun to see the jockeys over there belting it out. Some of them surprisingly good. Some of them not so much so.
If Naira bundled the stakes races from Saratoga videos, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, I would make a $3,000 donation to the PDF in a heartbeat.
Now they're
They won't. It's not going to happen. I would give them $1,000 for each decade of the stakes races video in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
I'll give it to them now if they want it.
Before
I'll front it. I'll put them on their honor. But all right, now time. It is for this sport and what we do. It's at the head of the class for charities.
Yeah,
I mean, clearly, we're putting their life on the line. We can do better. Now time for the DePaul play of the day.
When you think trucks, think DePaula. Then come join the family for value. Just visit, call, or click.
This week's Chevy Silverado is just $549 a month with zero do-it inception. Yes, zero down.
So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
Hello, everybody. Kevin Cox, the Brooklyn Cowboy, here with the DePaula Play of the Day from beautiful Saratoga Race Course. We'll be giving you our Play of the Day on Fridays and Saturdays throughout the meet, and we'll be basing our success on a 50 to win, 30 to place, 20 to show wager. And last year, we showed a flat bet profit for the entire meet. Our Play of the Day today, who we're really digging, is in race number 4, the number 4, Keep It Sexy. Although this one has yet to crack the superfecta in 4 turf starts to date, we have a methodology which converts the bias speed figures from turf to dirt, depending on the Tomlinson numbers, which are used for different surfaces. In doing such, we give this one a 69.5 number for the last start, which essentially lays over this entire grouping. Also, 5 runners from that affair have come back to run 5 starts, 1 win, 1 second, and 1 third from 3 different races, essentially replicating the speed figure from their prior start. As DRF Formulator tells us, Peter Walder is a whopping 6 for 14 when going turf to dirt with his sprinters that are put up for sale at 20 to 1 or less while wearing blinkers and during a hailstorm. And those winners came back a very healthy $20, $15, $10, 8 times 2, and $7. Given all that information and a very solid work tip, we wouldn't be surprised to see this bug rider actually try to be forwardly placed today. And we have no problem with making our number 4 Keep It Sexy and race number 4, the DePaula Play of the Day at Saratoga. And we'll see you at the track.
When you think trucks, think DePaula.
The all-new 2024 Chevy Trax is here. Bigger, roomier, seats 5, and lots of technology. And just $419 a month, 0 down.
So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
Oh,
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, Handicappers Report. As we are, at least one of us on the set, we both wore yellow ties today. And that is definitely a bag-o tie, which is the term we're using for the Steve picks. I thought he used to, at least one year, he presented them elegantly in a box for you. So I used to call them the box ties, but apparently that was the outlier. He usually gives it to you in a bag.
Well,
so.
he calls it the bag-o tie.
Okay, he does. So we'll go with that since it's his gift to you. So it's we didn't even call each other. We got yellow today. But the King George, we're expecting in about an hour. We can't get it's
they're racing the 3rd.
And the King
George
George is
coming up. And the King George is, the 5th.
So about an hour, etc.
Field of 11 in there, Bolshoi Ballet.
Supposed to be the best field ever brought together for the King George.
Bolshoi Ballet at Morning Line 99 to 1. I'm just looking at favorite, Morning Line favorite, August Rodan, Aiden O'Brien, and Ryan Moore, the number 10 horse.
I mean, I love it. I was telling Seth, I said years ago, I would go over to the Horseshoe and have breakfast while Mark and Mike were doing their things. About 5 years in a row, I had something to do after they were done before the racing, and I'd watch the King George. So now we have the opener, 2-year-olds, maiden special weights, mile and a 16th on the turf.
I am going to go 7, 1, 6, and 5. I have the 2 Pletchers, and I could have gone either way with the Pletchers, but I wound up going number 7, Moonlight on top. Audible, not knocking out of the park here early necessarily, but doing enough on the win end. And these stats are maybe about a week old. I pulled up some more recent stats, but I didn't check as far as Audible. I pulled them up looking at Sunday's card.
His father's still the same.
Yeah, exactly. But he was, again, a week and a half or so ago, 10 first-time starters, a win, a second, and a third. So, again, they're off to an okay start. This one worked 21 flat before the sale, attracted a decent little price. But, and again, Audible, the winner of the Florida Derby, third in the Kentucky Derby. But a sibling, this one's Moonlight, a sibling called Daylight, won its career debut. So I thought there was win early, top and bottom. Todd Pletcher certainly can have them ready. But Corruption, also dangerous. Medaglia d'Oro, good with first-time starters. Dan produced a sibling called Senior Prank that won its career debut. So similar thinking to the top pick. And given the disparity in odds, you may want to take a serious look at Corruption, who, again, I went back and forth with. Third spot, I used Modica, the George Weaver first-time starter. He's okay with firsters. Hard Spun's okay with firsters, so I thought there was a little bit of life there. 7, 1, 6, and 5.
I see it similar. Interesting that trade imbalance is an MTO. You have Polish numbers on the bottom side, who I love as a turf influence. And many people probably forget that Mindchef began his career, I think, in Europe on the turf before he came to America on his Horse of the Year. I'm 617. It's mostly about price. I'm going with Modica, the first-time starter. I love Hard Spun as a stallion. I have Corruption from the hedge or the 18-foot rail, and then Moonlight. And now Moonlight, the first 2 years, that's some of the rare pop culture that I would know.
Well, Moonlight. What?
Bruce Willis.
Oh, was that what the name of that show was? Yes. Yeah. Dino says yes. Was it Moonlighting? Moonlighting.
Okay.
I knew.
Moonlighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what he was doing. He was moonlighting.
Yeah.
Okay, she was.
Sybil Shepherd.
Yeah. First 2 years I thought was outstanding television.
I was not a fan of. I just didn't watch it.
I just give you one how clever it was. So they actually had Whoopi Goldberg and who's the guy, Judd Nelson, right? It's so clever. And the last moment is that they have the stars in a bad position. And it's the last episode of the season. They wrap it up. The crew literally comes in and takes away the stuff. It was, see? You didn't even see it.
No, and that was part of the show, right? Wouldn't they break the
Oh,
fourth wall?
it was, they
that was
had
part
some,
of the
first 2
conceit
years,
of the
they
show.
had some.
I appreciate when stuff like that
I
happens,
knew you would.
Second race today, optional claimer, non-winners of 2 other than 3/4 of a mile.
Boy, not in my mix, but High Oak from the rail. You talk about
They have them
how
circled
tough the game
yeah.
can be. 157 for me, my Harbor's Dream, part of the entry schedule to break from the 5-post position. For second, number 5, Osborne. The race, I think, through the wagering is going to go through this runner because it's Ron Moquette, which is sharp, but it's Irad Ortiz picking up the mount. The horse hasn't run since April 1st. And for third, Floki's Flight, Dale Roman's trying to make it 4 in a row. 157.
Yeah, I have it 7, 4, 5, and 3, and all 3 of my top picks are in good form. Yes. I went with Dale's horse on top on the 3-race win streak coming in from Kentucky. So I tilt there, but just by a smidge because Bold Journey comes in good form. Last couple of starts were on the turf. Now it goes back to the dirt, but I think off the last couple of starts and the dirt race 4-back was good enough to get it here. But off those 2 turf races, maybe is primed for a good effort on the move back to dirt. And Ron Moquette has Osborne. This one was in good form when last seen, but that was April Fool's Day down at Oak Lawn. So there's a little bit of a layoff for this one, but did attract Irad in here. So for me, 7, 4, 5, and 3. And as I say, they're all pretty closely matched to me.
Yeah, and I think, one thing I talked about last year for me is that the drop downs I no longer cared about, the fire sale or whatever. I'm just like, forget that. And the other is layoffs don't mean anything to me anymore. And it's not just a small group of trainers that nowadays, and I'll tell you, Jeff Carl told me something years ago that I think he was nails on, and that is the win percentage being public knowledge in the daily racing form has a strong influence. Remember we talked about how, like in the Triple Crown Trail, get a couple sprints to get a foundation. You didn't really care where you ran and going in. And I think Jeff was absolutely right. The win percentage for the trainer in the thing, I think, affected the way that they train their animal.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it.
You agree too. I find that I believe it, but I find it amazing.
You hear the stats for the old guys that we look at as kind of legends in the game, and the win percentage is nowhere near what the top guys are these days because it was a different. Yeah, you brought. When Forgo came back, they'd look to let's get a race in them before and now there's no let's get a race in there.
And I've said this before about guys like Charlie Whittingham. I said they'd be 18% for like a month. Then they got hot. That'd be it. On to the third, 5.5 on the turf. Claimers 2L.
2, 11, 7, and 6. I put Luna Warrior on top. Third start off a little bit of a March to June layup. These days, that's not much of a layup, but did come back, seemingly improved with a couple of good numbers. Nice improvement, start 1 to start 2, or incremental improvement, but it was improvement. And now off a bullet workout, I could see this horse going well again this afternoon. Second spot, War Terminator. Gary Contessa attracts Irad Ortiz on board this one off a couple of decent little tries. Last time was in against a little bit saltier in a starter allowance, so I think dropping back in for the tag where this horse ran well 2 starts back. And again, with Irad on board, War Terminator is intriguing. And Devil's only friend. There's a devil horse later in the day too, so maybe there's a devil. If you're devilish, maybe there's a devil parlay this afternoon with Devil's Only Friend. Though this is one of those that to me is a real handicapping puzzle. Debut effort is enough to stack up with these. Subsequently, though, showed nothing but in 2 stakes races. So they step out of the maiden breaker and go into a couple of stakes races and don't show anything. They're getting back to probably the proper level today. And if this horse can bounce back to that debut effort, I had to put it in the mix, but off the last 2, it becomes a little dicey. But 2, 11, 7, and 6.
Yeah, we agreed too much early. 2, 4, 8. One thing I'll say, especially on today's card, Warfront, who I think Seth as a stallion we saw go like 15, 30, 60, now 100K. I think the Vanderbilt was the only graded stakes he ever won. So it goes to show you how where you get a stallion from is anywhere. I mean, he was not a prodigious, performing colt, but is one of the best stallions in the world for those standards. But I think the Vanderbilt was the only, and I don't think it was a grade 1 yet when he won it. Might have been, but I think that was it. I agree. I have Little Warrior, who I like very much on the card today. 3rd start since the first week of spring. You don't have Starry Night in the mix. The 4, I think this is a major player in here. The 5.5, the good early speed, and then for 3rd, number 8. So 2, 4, 8.
The cleverly named Starry Night,
yes.
Inspired by McLean's music. I like that.
We stayed at our house. They give houses names in the Outer Banks, so it's easy to look them up. Anyway, we stayed at American Pie this year.
Oh, nice. Yeah, there you go. Speaking of McLean's music.
Take a quick break.
Wait. I got to do my dark horse.
Dark horse play of the day.
Which scratched yesterday, unfortunately, but it happens.
You didn't lose.
Yeah, no.
The old line in Vegas Vacation. I didn't lose.
Today's dark horse play of the day, however, again, brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile downtown. And again, always tout going down, particularly on a Saturday, head downtown after the track, maybe for a little dinner. They stay open late. Till 9 or so, or maybe on a Saturday later, and particularly a nice warm Saturday walking downtown. Stop by the Dark Horse on Broadway, and then their
I suspect it's going to be a warm
street.
Saturday today.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
At about 9:27.
Yeah. I was driving home last night at 10 o'clock or whatever, and it was 80 degrees still.
Yes.
Yesterday.
We haven't not got to the dog days of August yet.
So today's dark horse play of the day, race number 7. I'm going to go with number 9, Global Perspective. I mean, why not? A firster from Chad and Klarovich. I always focus on that team with first-time starters, but you have Tap It on top. The dam produced a sibling called Highland Square that won its career debut. Another sibling called Rowayton that won its career debut. So I thought the breeding, top and bottom, there was some potency. And with these connections, and you look and you see these connections and that kind of breeding, and you're getting 6-1, I said, sign me up. I mean, it's a Saratoga maiden race, so there are other interesting performers in here. Todd Pletcher has Private Desire with experience. There's the other devil horse, Devil's Playground, who had a little trouble in the debut. Ran well, though, for Mark Cassidy. That one could be a player. But, again, with this team, a little bit of breeding behind it. Our dark horse play of the day for Saturday afternoon. It's race number 7, horse number 9, Global Perspective.
All right, take a quick break. When we come back, we got a middle pick 4, pick 5s.
Yeah, that's plenty of racing today.
Plenty of action.
It only takes one upset to make history, and now you can be part of Saratoga's long tradition at the Dark Horse Mercantile. The Dark Horse Mercantile offers a carefully curated selection of clothing, gifts, and home decor, from one-of-a-kind vintage racing memorabilia to select brands like Barber and Under Armour, as well as exclusive Dark Horse branded merchandise. So celebrate the Dark Horse in all of us at the Dark Horse Mercantile, downtown Saratoga, where the smart bet is always the Dark Horse.
For more than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 101-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 101 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now. Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on this Saturday morning. Coming up 10 o'clock on Racing Across America, Bob Ehalt will join us from the Blood Horse. Bob was down at the Haskell last week. We'll get some thoughts on that as well.
Is he your first
today's
guest?
Action. First guest.
Because I told you it's either Alistar or Bob that gave me the Curlin dominance in distance races, 1.8 and 1.25 miles stat. I'm going to ask him on the way out if it was him, because I've used it and I'm pretty sure it's maintaining that he is the dominant dirt distance 2 route stallion.
But he's first, so you can check it
That's
out. A little bit after that, Tom Morley, who's off to a pretty good start at Saratoga, including 2 wins yesterday. Stakes win beginning of the meet, so we'll talk to Tom about that and more. And then towards the end of the program, David Aragona, morning line odds maker.
Oh boy, I can't stay.
Who I think it's almost universally accepted now. If you read Twitter and hear people talking, probably the best lines maker in the country, right?
Well, he's great. So if there's John White at Santa Anita,
he's good.
I think they're, and it's great that the 2 of the 3 major focal points in America, and I've said it before, it's useful for me for a kind of an odd reason, because I don't want to fall on the 4 to 5 shots usually, but it is imperative for the fans.
Yeah.
It's imperative that they get good work, and David's work is great.
Excellent.
And as I think from time to time, Andy Sterling likes to say on Talking Horses, let's not throw that word around lightly.
No.
And I am not.
But I think
He is
it's
great
I think it's
at his
almost
job,
universally
and we
accepted.
are well served.
Yeah.
And I give him even triple kudos because he'll go on Twitter with his swings and misses.
Yeah.
And how good is that?
Yeah. No,
And one other thing I want to say, this is the most esoterical thing. You don't get it. Someday we should find out what we get difference. But this Western Canadian Triple Crown has been on many of my borders. So I went on Google Earth and I did all this. Any other time of year, I would do this. It's across the plains of Canada. But I was like, you touch 3 of the 4 Western provinces, and I'd be like, I'd have a blast.
Yeah, no.
I'd have a blast following this, but I just can't because of the dates. That doesn't work. So
it does seem like fun, certainly, and I'm sure Robertina Diodoro will have some horses there.
You got to believe
he kind of kicked things off out in that way. And Ralph Thoreau, former one of
agent, steward, everything.
Yeah, up here did
Beloved
a little bit of everything,
here.
But he lives out in Western Canada now.
Does he really?
Yeah. And I think
that's not a sentence you hear often. I retired to Western Canada.
He may have a kid out there.
Okay, that'll do.
But he usually comes and does a little work here in the summer. And somebody told me just the other day, I think he's headed in next week. And then you can go down the Parting Glass, and he and the band play on Monday or I think it's Monday nights down at the Parting Glass. So look forward to that as well.
Just so you know, you almost didn't get Marshall Graham on the show.
You were.
Dino had to say, we have to do the show. Get out.
That's right. Yeah, he was great. I talked to him for about a half an hour, and I said I only went through like 25% of what I wanted to touch on. Marshall's always great. All right, 4th race this afternoon. Maiden Claimers, 6 furlongs the trip.
And I know Dino's like a cat in a room full of rocking chairs that we're going to make 10 o'clock. We're going to make it, Dino. 2, 3, 6. I break from the rail with the 2. Best Coast making the 2nd career start. Brad Cox sends out this runner for 2nd. Mooney goes out for Linda Rice. First off the claim in May. And for 3rd, I have Party at Grants. First off the claim for Linda. I do want to throw out the 10. Cherokee Cottage. Owner and breeder, one of the great names in the sport for really my entire adult lifetime. I think of Althea with Helen Groves. They were, just Helen Alexander running Cherokee Cottage today, 2, 3, and 6.
I went 1A, 6, 4, and 3, and on top it becomes tough for me with the entries. Once I get past the top pick, typically I'll kind of trust the trainer, put both halves down. But you don't want to do that on top often when they're, to me, as separated talent-wise as they are. Between the two, Super Tropical is much more preferred for me. I think coming off a nice close-up second place finish down at Laurel last time makes a lot of sense in here for Mike Trombetta. Has plenty of experience, hasn't won, but I think is moving in the right direction, set up well here. So the 1A on top, Party Grants in the 2nd spot off the claim for Linda Rice. And these Kentucky claims have done very nicely for her. So Linda Rice with this one off the claim down at Churchill in the 2nd slot, and then Keep It Sexy in the 3rd slot. 12-1 on the morning line. But I thought this horse was very intriguing. Turf to dirt and distance to sprint. So I'll play around with that one a little bit as well. 1A, 6, 4, and 3.
Did you hear about a buyer speed figure or your phone, whichever is more important at the moment? But did you get a buyer speed figure for New York Thunder? Has it been usually Andy Sterling was something that demonstrative will push something out? It's got to be, I hate to say this, Chance-a-Lot area. I mean, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just 107 and change. You win by daylight. You change leads very late. He evened out. I can't imagine if you'd ever changed leads early.
I didn't see it. The buyer maybe on Twitter.
Well, the question will be Ekuzulu 114 the day before. We'll see. 3 rolls it up. Phillies in for 62. 2X Racing 7/8.
6, 2, 4, and 5. Sterling Silver on top. Just in good form. Last couple of starts for a couple of stakes races. Been knocking at the door in those. I think moves into this company and a solid fit in here. Tizzy in the Sky hasn't been seen since last year, but now moves into the barn of Todd Pletcher with some nice races, some flashes of talent shown underneath. I think in the 4-year-old debut, this horse is going to be very dangerous. And on the 1s and 2s, another one that hasn't been seen since last year, comes in from Churchill over a year ago. But again, like Tizzy in the Sky, has shown some nice flashes of talent. And if the horse is ready and the workouts are okay, on the 1s and 2s can be a player as well. For me, 6, 2, 4, and 5.
Boy, I was surprised that David made Tizzy in the Sky 5-2. You talk about the buyers and there's some that have better in here. I mean, obviously on the 1s and the 2s is the layoff, so I can understand that. But I'm 257 coming off of the this is the seasonal debut, having run Thanksgiving weekend. There's a lot to ask, but I'm unconcerned about layoffs now. It used to be a very small group. When I say small group, fewer than a handful that I trusted off layoffs. Doesn't matter anymore. You look cold for a second. Tried this condition really twice. It's hit the board in both of them. And for third, Good Sam, second start of the year in June. The comeback race was solid. Not if you bet it at 1-2. So we'll see if they move forward. 257.
6 race this afternoon, State Bred Maiden Specials going 1 mile and 16th on the grass. Our friends at Bonaventure Stable have Sail with the Wind in here. First-time starter for Leah Giarmati. Could be a little bit intriguing if you looked up the breeding and whatnot. There's a little bit there. But again, first start, that's a big ask. But I will say, I spent a little time with the Bonaventure folks down at the Parting Glass last night, their annual night before. They're going to have a little group get-together in the paddock suite today as well. I'm doing some handicapping for them. And one of the partners yesterday said they had been involved in some other partnerships, and Bonaventure is really one that it does things like that for the partners, makes it fun for them, and that's part of being in a partnership. So rooting always for the Bonaventure folks. And then from there, I went out to a little house. My social calendar was full last night. House party out in the backyard, band, a food truck cooking wood-fired pizza.
Do you have to pick up a check this month? Not that you should. You shouldn't have to pick up a check. You really should. That part I'm serious about. The other part I'm not serious about. Good for you.
Yeah, last night was kind of fun, I must say. So the 6th race, State Bred Main Special, mile and 16th on the grass.
Full field of 12 in the main body. You got it also eligible, and the entry is MTO. If this horse had drawn better, I see you have Autumn for third. I'll be interested if the post kind of. I very much like Autumn today. It's a shorter run into the first turn when we're on the Mellon Turf course. This is one of they can run mile and eighth on both. We rarely run mile and eighth on the inner. When I say rarely, I'm always shocked at how infrequently we run it. But a mile and 16th is the very common one. It's a short run for Autumn, making the third career start. Ran in April, ran in May for Shug. I think we're live. I got to negotiate that first turn. And the reason I say that is this horse has shown some propensity for being forward. And we're outside the number 10 post position. For a second, Bomb Squad, who draws much better. For Christophe Clement, hit the board in the 2 most recent efforts at middle distances. And you see they found a way there, about distance of a mile and eighth on the inner, which is funny because that's when the rails have to be up because the reason it's funny is it's a mile and eighth loop, just always start when the rails are up. And for third, Lady Lobon, 11, 8, 7. I see Seth has 2 of them. Well, just give your thoughts on it.
I would have used the 11, the 12, and the 13 higher up. I think the 12 and the 13 are also very dangerous.
Yeah.
I just stuck outside.
It's
the Chad Brown
Blarovich
runner scares me quite a bit, the 13. But I went 8, 6, 11, and 9. I put Bomb Squad on top for Christophe Clement. Last couple certainly make this one playable. Starts now. Friends at America's Pastime Racing, another locally based ownership in here. off a couple of decent starts. Most recently, Irod Ortiz attracted me a little bit as well. And then I did use Autumn in the third spot. And again, those outside horses to me are all dangerous, but the outside post position left me a little bit leery. 8, 6, 11, and 9.
Yeah, I just want to double check before I ask a silly question. They're the baseball one, right? The baseball logo.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
I love, being, a trip handicapper, any, bright colors I liked. So anything that makes it easier. Although I will say, when all racetracks by and large went to the colored saddle claws, that's really all you need. With high def and colored saddle claws, it's demonstratively easier than it used to be, especially on the backside. On to the 7th race. We have 2-year-olds maiden special weights going 6.5.
We're not doing a 6 break?
We are doing a 6 break. See, I want to say it twice.
Yeah.
So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, the pick 6 starts in race 7.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes.
In front, but here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Falbrough. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, up to race number 7, which is, by the way, a race I'm excited about. I mean, I'm in a tepid way. We'll get to it in a moment. That's why I wanted to introduce it twice. 2-year-olds maiden special weights going 6.5.
9, 7, 5, and 4 for me. Again, I talked about this one earlier. Global Perspective, my dark horse play of the day. Sibling Highland Square won the debut. Sibling Rowayton won the career debut. Chad Brown, Klarovich. I'll go with the 9 on top. Devil's Playground had a little bit of trouble in the debut. Still ran an okay third. I think with the experience under the belt, this one becomes very dangerous at an 8-1 morning line. And then Private Desire, 12-1 on the morning line for a Pletcher firster by Constitution. Constitution, very good first out of the box runners. Todd Pletcher, obviously, particularly up here at Saratoga, notable as well. They paid $350,000. I think this horse will run better than those 12-1 morning line odds. I have it 9, 7, 5, and 4.
Now, there's so much guessing in these races, which I'm okay with. So there's a lower ceiling about being excited. And as you said, the Constitution, I mean, there are horses in here. These trainers don't know what the other guys and gals have. But drum roll, please, the 6 that Seth doesn't have on there. It's a much lower ceiling than traditional races, but I just think by hard spun out of Dubai for Brad Cox, I just think but who knows what the rest are? We'll find out. Maybe I'll run 8th in here. But drum roll, please, who is 6-1 on the morning line. Is one of my more excitable guesses. I'm going with number 4. I'm going to go with Door Knock. A lot of times when you see N-O-C-H, though, it's not pronounced knock or something. First time starter for Danny Gargan from, if anyone's going to pick up the relay baton from Curlin, it seems like Good Magic is at the head of the card, and Lambeau making the second career start for Steve Asmus. It could be very tough in here. 6-4-8 in what seems to be a very, very nice race. But I'm drumroll, please.
Speaking of pop culture, I have never watched it, so I can't say for sure. But Dornock, I would guess, is one of those that's named after maybe a Game of Thrones character.
I don't know.
Sounds like that. I don't know either. I never watched the show, but it has that kind of a sound. Yeah, and it seems like there are a number of those Clearly, there are many more Games of Thrones fans than me in the horse racing game. The 8th race today, A.G. Vanderbilt, Grade 1 event, $350,000 up for grabs as the sprinters will go 6 furlongs.
It's probably not sexy from a wagering standpoint, but I am very amped for this race. I love 5-4-1. I see you. I love Gunite and Elite Power, and 4-5 versus 8-5. I mean, I like it the other way. I am.
And this
big,
is another one where I wonder what the betting public is going to do, because I
David
think
might have been wondering too. But his opinion on 4-5, 8-5, that indicates to me he thinks there will be disparity.
Yeah.
Now my sisters think that they're strikingly close, and maybe mathematically they are, but he's twice the price.
Yeah.
They're not. It's a whole different mind. I love Gunite in here over Elite Power, but I should let you know, I have always been wrong about Elite Power. So there you have that. But I love Gunite in this spot. I think Gunite would have been heck to pay in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. And then for third, number 1, Gunite. But this is you have the Bing Crosby, the Grade 1 out at Del Mar. This is a great day for the sprinters in America. 5-4-1.
5-4, 6-1 for me. Steve Asmussen has just been so good with sprinters over the last few years. I mean, just look at Echo Zulu a couple of days ago. So I'm going to put Gunite on top. The return from the Middle East was just phenomenal in the Aristides. So Elite Power in the second spot. The True North was very good as well. So these two are going to square up. Dean Delivers, I thought, was a little bit interesting, perhaps on a best effort, coming up from the win in the Smile down at Gulfstream last time. Again, the top two kind of stand out to me, but if you're looking for an alternative, Gunite could be a little bit of a player as well if you're looking for an alternative. But for me, the top two, looking forward to seeing them square up. 5-4, 6-1.
I also kind of be intrigued about the exacta pace. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, the late pick 4.
For more than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 101-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 101 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
The only thing better than watching the races is watching your own racehorse. With nearly 20 years experience in the racing industry, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program enables everyday fans to become part owner of a thoroughbred for far less than you might think, with all the ownership perks at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, and other great tracks. Experience the thrill and lifestyle of owning your own thoroughbred racehorse. Learn more at bonaventurestables.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, race 9, entry-level allowance for the fillies, a mile on the turf.
6, 10, 9, and 8 for me. I'm going to put Diamond Hands on top. Todd Pletcher, Irod Ortiz, 5-1 on the morning line. In a nice full field competitive race, but comes in off a nice try last time. Showed some speed, got caught late, 7 furlongs. I think is well suited to this spot and might offer a little bit of value again in a fun field. Get your kicks. Going out for Chad Brown, lightly raced, but the maiden breaker certainly showed some potential. And then got some experience at the non-winners that won last time. I think that will be beneficial this afternoon. And Eugenia in the third spot. A couple of wins in the last 3 starts, puts this one right in the thick of things for Christophe Clement. 6, 10, 9, and 8.
Second horse on the day, the post gives me some agita. But Get Your Kicks is my top pick, and Offspring of Quality Road, who ran 113 and changed suspiciously in his Amsterdam, prepping for the Travers. I don't think anybody was prepping for the Travers yesterday, but I'm outside going a mile. I have to deal with it. I have good early speed. We'll see what Fabian Prat does for second. Diamond Hands, we just have the exact reverse, and then I'm inside. Brandon Walsh sends out the 3 for the third start in the U.S. 10-6-3.
In the 10th this afternoon, we are looking to help sort out the 3-year-old picture, perhaps. With
So you say.
There are some players in here that could potentially do that with this, and the Travers looming. This is the Jim Dandy. It's a Grade 2 event, $500,000 up for grabs. 9 furlongs is the distance.
It was a Tuesday, a Firm's Jim Dandy. I think that was the last win Steve Coughlin had here.
Oh.
He got injured one year. He did not have a great Saratoga career. And I think that was his last Saratoga win. Don't quote me on it. But I looked at this. I can't believe I looked at this race so long. 5-1-2. I mean, everybody's in it. I had hit show in the Belmont. Everybody's in it. I just settled on Angel of Empire. I'm hoping he's the one that gets kind of lost in the wagering, even though I don't think that will happen at all in this field because of the Derby hitting the board and running fourth in the Belmont. But I don't know. I just didn't want to take Forte. I mean, I'm sure he'll be sharp today. You got to think the Travers is the end game goal summer for it. I took Disarm to kind of break up it. Probably third is a more logical plot spot for Disarm. And then I have Forte, but I looked at this show for almost an hour. I could talk about it for an hour. Saudi Crown, I think, intrigues the wagering and how the race is run. But 5-1-2 in what for me is a wide open race.
Yeah, Saudi Crown's the X factor clearly in here. But I'm with you, 5-2, 5 on top, 2, 1, and 4 underneath. I've been on Angel of Empire. I liked him in the Arkansas Derby. Got the 92 price there with the nice win. Subsequently was maybe a little bit disappointed. I thought he ran okay in the Kentucky Derby, but it was third. And then fourth in the Belmont. That one was a little bit disappointing for me. But I'm going to jump back on board. I think he's a good fit in here. Gets the outside post position in only a field of 5, which I think could be beneficial as he can kind of take a look around and Flavian Prat make his move from there. Forte is obviously logical and gets the chance to kind of perhaps over the 2 starts at Saratoga show what he is. They're adding the blinkers. I've had some guests on the last few days who were talking about the blinkers. Maybe beneficial. Very small blinkers, but might help him out here and Disarm in the 3rd spot for me off a nice try last time in the Matt win. I wouldn't discount that one if you wanted to play around a little bit. In the 10th, Jim Dandy, 5-2, 1 and 4.
If you let me pick 2, I would have shaky. I would not be confident I nailed it. In the field of 5. If you let me pick 2 horses, I would have no confidence that I nailed the winner in the 2 picks. So good luck with 1. On to the 11th. State Breds going 5.5 on the turf. Entry-level allowance.
9, 3, 8, and 5. Active Congress on top. Bruce and Lean trainee has a lot of speed. Speed is very dangerous. How dangerous? Well, horse went to the front in the first 2 starts of this year and won both of those. So we'll look for this one to try more of the same today. A theft on the front end. Snowy Evening. Steve Christ, part owner there for Dave Donk. Steve Christ and company. Phil Gleaves, also part of the partnership. But this one comes in with some nice closing efforts. So it's only at 5.5, but I won't be shocked if this horse makes a little noise in the lane. The cutback on turf, not as potent as on dirt. So we'll see. And you don't want to, in a turf sprint, necessarily be coming from behind. But if things do fall apart, things happen in the lane, Snowy Evening is one to take a look at. Busy Morning hasn't been seen since last year. But I thought this horse off the layoff, only 4 starts, now comes back as a newly turned 4-year-old. Well, first start as a 4-year-old. I thought might be a little bit of a player in here. I would like more than that 4-1 morning line price, but I won't be surprised if we get it. I won't be surprised off the layoff this horse kicks up a little bit, but I thought there was a little talent. 9, 3, 8, 5.
If you had had the 4, I would have fallen over. And this is not the reason I wore a yellow tie today, but I know for a fact it's at least the second time I picked a 30-1 morning line shot on top in the last 10 months. In Good Trouble, going to be a huge price in here. 30-1 on the morning line, shipping it off back-to-back races at Penn National. I liked the race at Monmouth before then. We're going to get any price in here. Carry for second and Busy Morning, who you have for third. I think is going to be heck to pay in here, the Austrian award answer. But In Good Trouble, who I'm sure is on not too many lists, is my top pick in a race that I thought was wide open, and I thought there was Dylan Davis just, you don't have to go to the front. Just get good position from there to make a move later.
12th and final, going off at about 10 of 7 this evening. We are looking at maiden specials, mile 3/8 on the grass.
Maybe. So I'm going to look into that even more, but I trust Pat Cummings explicitly. 6-12-1. Libretto is my top pick now. It's the 12th start, and yes, that's a big ask, but it seems as if this runner is a different horse of late off the last 2 races. So I'm lopping off the first 5 or 6 because 0 for 11 is tough to take at 6-1. Hoping for a gigantic Dylan Davis late daily double. For second, the outside horse, Heavenly Appointed, outside horse of a turf race. Graham Motion's runner was second on debut, which I think is a good sign. Ran on the 15th. I think there's a good chance we come back today. Hard to imagine that on July 29th, it's 2 weeks after a race at the Spa. And for third, Southampton Dock, 6-12-1.
I have it 7, 3, 6, and 9. I'm going to put She's Mo Bubbly on top for Todd Pletcher. Since coming to the grass has shown nice improvement. 2 starts back to last time. Good second to a next out winner. I think this horse very playable in here this afternoon. Tawa Ret, if I'm coming close to that, the 3 horse off nice improving numbers in each of the 3 starts of the career so far. So is primed this afternoon. Libretta, plenty of tries, hasn't gotten it done, but I thought the last couple kind of touted the horses being playable in and amongst this particular bunch. 12th and final, 7, 3, 6, and 9.
Now, speaking of, I think this is pop culture. When you see July 29th, any singular moment come up?
No, but this isn't going to be the Princess Diana reference again, is it? Well, that is.
It's the only, and the only reason it really counts was it was opening day before I went to SC as a freshman, and my girlfriend's like, "Well, I'm not going to the track unless we watch the wedding." So it would be 43 years. They would be.
That's the only significance it has. You mentioned it.
Yes, but I think most people, there's no July 29th anything. But if you're 60 years of age, I think that's kind of big. Like,
I don't know. I think maybe you only remember because of the girlfriend.
No, I remember because it was open day of the track and I wanted to go.
Well, but
who gets married on a Wednesday?
But you would have just, yeah.
I'll give you another thing that happened that day. Trove was Woody Stevens' favorite. I think she ran third. I remember but it's like there is no other July 29th than for anybody 60 years of age, who obviously I was 18, 40, that's what it is.
But like I say,
who gets married on Wednesday?
If you didn't have the girlfriend, you wouldn't remember it.
No.
You would have just come to the track.
We have worked together so long, and you think there's a chance I wouldn't remember that?
Princess Diana's wedding? Would that have even registered with you?
Seth, that was the event of the decade. That's a bad. I hate that stuff. But the even better thing, they got married on Wednesday. They used to run the Epsom Derby on Wednesday. They didn't want the Commodores to come. I love that stuff. He stays. I go, ladies. It's getting warm, but a great day of horse racing across the country, especially at the Spa. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.
You've been watching the Handicappers Report. The Handicappers Report has been brought to you by Thorough Pace, Premium Racing Analytics, allowing bettors to identify races with extreme pace scenarios in a matter of seconds. Capital OTB's mobile wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with Capital OTB's mobile wagering platform. And CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State.